Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Cold Waters with Mags. So, I want everyone who watched the last episode to consider it to be a simulated war game before the real war started, as we have just restarted the campaign. Now, as to why, in the last video, someone claiming to be one of the DotMod devs indicated that apparently the latest version of DotMod, that would be 0.3b, which was released the day after I started recording this series, actually keeps count of the number of ships of a particular type that is meant to exist and a count of how many you have sunk. Or at least account for some of them. Now, I did check the patch notes for this, and I couldn't find a mention of this. However, if this is correct, it should be possible to run the Soviets out of some of their submarine classes, which is something after so many rounds of playing through these campaigns that I cannot afford to miss. And if it's not true, the patch notes for the latest version looked pretty good anyways. So, anyways, other than restarting this campaign with the latest version of DotMod, so we have updated from 0.25 to 0.3b, nothing else has changed. We're still playing Captain Hugh Jass, we are still in the Sturgeon-class USS Grayling, and our first mission is to intercept hostile Soviet submarines attempting to make their way into the North Atlantic. So, we've done this before. Let's do it again. I hope you enjoy. Alrighties, we have a trawler.
Con sonar, Sierra 2 is classified as merchant.
Alright, so since we know we're engaging a submarine, we're only at 50 feet. What I'm going to do is quickly bring us to 45. Just so we can get the sails on the surface. Let's pop the radar mask quickly. Alright, so we got confirmed M2 is a trawler and nothing else is on the surface at this time as far as we can tell.
Lower the radar mask.
So radar down. Now, conditions here at the moment. We've got 81 decibels in the water, we've got a weak duct and a very weak layer. We are above it. So we are going to dive down, put ourselves at about 200 feet. Let's see whether or not we can reacquire Sierra 1.
0 feet, dive high.
So yeah, M2 is clearly not our target. Just some fisherman out doing his thing. Not hostile, we don't need to concern ourselves with him. Alright, so 200 feet and we have reacquired Sierra 1 and we got a ping on Sierra 3. So, let's take a look and see exactly what we've got here. So Sierra 1...
Con sonar,
I reckon that's
Sierra
an Alpha.
1 is classified
I reckon
as
that's an
submerged
Alpha.
submarine.
Now, Sierra 3 is still there. God, we haven't got much of a signal on her. It's not a Victor. So, we're looking for these two lines for our matchups here at the moment. It doesn't line up. It's not a Sierra. I think that's a Charlie 2.
Con sonar, Sierra 3 is classified as submerged submarine.
So, we have a Charlie 2 and we have an Alpha. I reckon. Alright. The problem is we don't really have much in the way of information on them. Charlie 2 is running at about 700 feet, and the Alpha's at about same depth, close to 300 feet. And they do appear to be moving in this direction, so that is something. So I'll give them markers. What is our estimated range? 51% solution to the Alpha. Reading 31, reading 20. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to pump back up to 50 feet.
Depth 50 feet.
Which means we're going to lose track of these guys for just a moment, but that's okay. So I've got them marked. Once we're in the duct, I'm going to fire our 2 starboard torpedoes. And then, once the torpedoes are out and clear, I'm going to drop us back to 200 feet. Hopefully, even though the duct is weak and the thermal layer is weak, it is sufficient enough to actually deflect the sound. Just in the off chance that they are close enough to actually hit a launch transient. That'll get our torpedoes out and away. Then we can drop ourselves back below the layer to go back to listening. We can leave ourselves as is with the towed array out doing its thing. Alright. And I want to have one torpedo track north. And the other torpedo I'm going to loop around the rear. And we're actually going to cross it over and head this way. So, tube 1 firing.
Shoot 2-3. Aye, sir.
No counterfire. Tube 2 firing.
Shoot 2-4. Aye, sir.
Alright.
Con, dive at 50 feet. Dive aye.
Start getting these torpedoes away. Because the first torpedo we're firing here is going to encounter the Charlie 2 first. Likely. So let these get a little bit further away, and we'll set depth to 200.
Depth 200 feet. Dive
So
aye.
it's going to encounter the torpedo first. So the Alpha is going to react off the Charlie reacting to the torpedo first. It might run, and if it does, I want to make sure it runs in the direction of our second torpedo. Right. So this is going to be a long hook shot into the Charlie 2 with a secondary hook shot towards the Alpha, and hope that I can run the Alpha into it. Because the Alpha is a nightmare. The Alpha's got 42 knots maximum speed, or 41 knots here. 41 knots maximum speed, which means while it's not faster than our Mark 48s, it's not that much slower. If an Alpha turns and runs and you don't have the torpedo close enough, it can quite easily run for long enough that your torpedo will run out of range and detonate before it ever actually catches the Alpha. They're a pain in the ass for that reason. Alright, so we're back at 200 feet. Towed array is still, of course, out and doing its thing.
Con, dive at 200 feet. Dive aye.
So Charlie 2 is still 36%. And Alpha is at 53. We've actually got a better signature on the Alpha than we do on the Charlie. Now we're running 10 knots on the Alpha. Unknown speed on the Charlie. Alright, so we just had a massive jump. The Alpha is closer than expected. It's at 89% solution at this point. And it is reading close. So we are turning the torpedoes in now. That means Charlie might be accurate. Charlie might be lagging behind the Alpha here, and we haven't been able to hear it correctly because of distortions from the Alpha. I'm not sure if the sound modeling, how much the sound modeling's been modified in this mod, so I'm not entirely sure what it's capable of. So I've just got to make some assumptions here, to be perfectly honest. Regardless, Alpha is a hell of a lot closer than expected. Now on the upside, if Alpha runs, Now it's probably going to detect Torpedo 4 first, or it likely will, because it's going to be activated soon. So it's going to detect Alpha, detect this torpedo first. Its counterfire should be this way, which leaves us nice and safe, which is good. And if it turns and runs, it's going to run into this one. The Charlie is significantly slower. Only 24 knots. It's actually a little bit slower than the Sturgeons, so I'm less concerned about the Charlie getting away at this point. And I'm about the Alpha. And the Alpha seems still blissfully unaware of the fact that there are 2 torpedoes in the water heading in its general direction. Well, right as I say that, I think it might have detected a torpedo. Alright. Changing depth. Let's change the scale here a little bit. How deep is the Alpha? It's at about 1,000 feet at this point. Which is good. If it gets hit by this Mark 48, it's dead. At that depth, it will not recover. Alright, going active. And it's at 36 knots and accelerating. So for the moment, I'm actually just going to keep this torpedo running straight across. It looks like the Charlie has just jumped. There we go. Charlie's jumped to 90% solution. It's 14 kiluyards away, 14.7. It's accelerating to 20 knots, so it's turning to run as well. Yeah, you're not getting out of here. You can see how little our torpedo is actually gaining on the Alpha here. It is insane how fast this thing is. Alright, we are going to activate the second torpedo now. Now it's going to be a little tricky here because we are going to have to run it past the Charlie. The main reason I want it activated is just to give it its speed boost. The torpedoes, when they're active, run faster than they do when they're running passively. Alright, Charlie has detected. It's making a turn. Now, of course, the Sturgeon only has 2 torpedoes that it can operate active at any given time. So I can't actually put a 3rd torpedo out here to build the net. I just have to use the 2 that I've got. The fun part is, the Alpha, running at 41 knots, will not be able to hear this torpedo. It has no idea this torpedo is here and will not have an idea that that torpedo is here until it's nearly on top of it. At 41 knots, the Alpha is all but deaf. So I just need to keep this torpedo ahead of the Alpha, and that'll be fine. And this one, I think, is just going to push the Alpha into the first torpedo, and then it can turn on and kill the Charlie. I think that is the best way to do this. Alright, Alpha is now aware. I'm going to change the direction. Set the second torpedo up to intercept. Can clear all markers, and we'll put a marker down on the Charlie there. It's good enough just to keep us a reminder of exactly where she is. And yep, the Alpha's not sure what she's doing at this point.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
Alright, 3 has acquired the Alpha. 7 minutes left on the torpedo.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
And 4 has also acquired the Alpha. That's fine. I want these to go after the Alpha as primary.
Sonar, Sierra 1 is cavitating.
Yeah, it won't surprise me. That'll be the, yeah, the Alpha's diving for the, heading for the surface as quickly as it can. Torpedoes are still tracking, and this is why they're not picking up the Charlie at the moment. The Charlie is still...
Bearing 3,
No, the Charlie's
3,
nearly
1.
on the surface as well. It's just the Alpha is so noisy. Alright, 4 has acquired the Charlie. That's fine, I'm willing to go with that. Looks like 3 is going to be our Alpha killer. 7 minutes and 22 seconds remaining on the torpedo.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing 3, 3, 2. Con sonar, noisemaker bearing 3, 2, 9.
Alright, Alpha is turning in. And diving. What's Charlie doing? Charlie's
Con,
surfacing.
fire control, weapon countermeasure homing.
Oh, she's going to get down under it. Clever girl.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing 3, 3, 4.
Con, fire control, weapon countermeasure homing.
3 is back on. Now I'm going to turn 4 back onto the Charlie 2.
Con sonar lost
Alright,
contact.
Alpha has been
Sierra
hit.
1, last bearing 3, 3, 3. Contact breaking up.
4 has reacquired. Alright, and there is our Alpha going down. So that's the pain in the ass one dealt with. Although I gotta admit, the
Con
Charlie
sonar,
here is putting in the
noisemaker
effort.
bearing 3, 2, 6.
It's like Torpedo has reacquired.
Con sonar
And
lost contact.
boom.
Sierra 3, last bearing 3, 2, 6. Contact breaking up.
And we got ourselves a Charlie too. Alright, so that is officially, since we have had to restart a little bit here, the first 2 kills of this campaign. We'll consider the other ones a war game practice before this this whole little war actually broke out in the North Atlantic. So, yeah. That was pretty clean. I'm pretty happy with that overall. Alright, so USS Grayling, SSN 646, after action report. We got the Charlie 2 sunk, we got the Alpha sunk, 9,030 tons total, and we only fired 2 torpedoes for the entire thing, no damage whatsoever. 36,120 experience points, and crew proficiency increased. Excellent. So, excellent job on intercepting and destroying the Soviet submarines before they could do any serious damage to our early European supply efforts. New orders coming on this downlink soon, so that was our target as well. Alright, anyways, ladies and gents, hope you enjoyed this one, and thank you very much for watching. Sorry for the delay on the latest Cold Waters video. This weekend was rather busy, but we are back, and slight hiccup in restarting the campaign, but we now are actually playing on the latest version of the mod. So hopefully the information on the sub counters actually being accurate, at least on submarines, in relation to how many there were in real life, is true, because this would be nice to sync the entire the entirety of the Russian Navy. That's the whole reason I wanted to upgrade this mod. If they actually have limits on submarines, I want to run the Russian Navy out of ships. I just want to do this. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, remember to click that like button if you did, share and subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, take care.